Hi, how are you?
What are you? What is it?
What's your name?
Yes.
I won't shake your hand, otherwise you'll drop. You cut, sir?
So now you
It's up
got,
to you. Okay.
but you are incidentally inaugurating the exhibition.
Exhibitions. Fantastic. Thank you.
This is Scindia.
Question express the views and thoughts of different ways. So please.
So we use instruments such as chisels, filers, as well as sandpapers in making our sculptures. Once we are moving up, we use the polish coating machine as well as to increase the durability. So as you can see, famous painting of Maya Prabha, as well as the portrait of man being violated and grounded.
Everything would like to draw attention to this notes. Sir, we have found this model in system was very upon chemistry in Bangladesh, so departments would come inside and create the structure of mother and child, which shows the love and everything. And sir, before carving this model, we were very particular of the concentric circle, which shows the eye of the mother, head of the child, and then shows the brain of the mother. And it took us 3 months to complete this model, and we were a team of 7 members. It's purely handmade. So apart from sir, from our campus. It was very voluntary.
It's a voluntary.
So we utilized to do this.
What's the tree? Sesame is pretty strong wood to carve.
Yeah.
So obviously I work really hard.
We were a team of 7 members to carve this model.
How much time did you spend every day?
So it's 2 hours a day.
2 hours every day?
Yeah, after lunch.
For 3 months?
Yeah. And so
These are all natural.
yes, then it's all handmade.
Okay.
So apart from this, so we have made 3 more models in the same team. Made 3 more models.
It's done by you.
Yeah, it's done by me. And this is also done by me. And it's a part of its rules.
So mermaids are always sort of aspirations of boys.
Now further go for this.
And one is a straight. So these models are to carve out the planks, the patterns from polyester. So now I'll be telling you about the stone carving department. You will be pleased to know we are the only school in India which does stone carving. The stone which we use is called gypsum stone, also called soft stone. It is found in Jabalpur and Beraghat Falls, but we buy this from Agra. All these stone models which you can see are carved out from one piece of stones. As the name suggests, they are extremely soft and prone to damages. Earlier we are trying to make a sculpture of Lord Ganesha, but because of its prone to damages, it doesn't hold of a man
Reading?
Yeah, reading up.
Certainly.
Very engrossed.
Yeah, I was going to say that. This is really intense. Is that the typical Scindia School?
Also, and we will help you go through the paintings department. On this board, we have 4 different kinds of paintings. First, we have paintings on canvas board. In these paintings, we have used rollers to give the background textures, and it is very hard to give it using brushes. And we have used spatula to give the front textures. There we have a painting which is done with the help of soft pastels. Then we have an art which is known as gulab art. And the students also use watercolors to give the finishing touch. And we have also cartoon arts. We have depicted this on our board to grab the attention of the children. And this is also made by a class 8 class board. So our department is dependent on these students, moving from grade 6 to grade 8. And that's something modern standard children the students make these mounted streams and give it to the very grandparents.
They take the mold.
Yeah.
They are all done out of steel.
How long does a small one take to make?
Yes, sir. The models like these take 1.5 weeks. Like these, take 3 weeks. Because we are having from week and after next week. This is a model. It's also from the same branch of the tree which we are having on campus, which shows the growth.
This all one piece.
Yeah, all the time. It's also the basic theme of our life. The face and they basically made labels to give to the grandparents.
So, where we have a master piece of modern art, the special attribute about this painting is that the artist which has drawn this can himself not copy it or make another piece of it, and it is a non-linear painting, which means that any individual can have his own opinion on the painting, like whatever he wants to make, he can.
Is the artist here? You should ask what is the artist.
Start with one opinion.
Oh, that looks familiar. It's a good attempt.
Only the specs are not there.
The specs are not there. Oh, fantastic. Who made this? He's not here?
No, he will be presenting.
Okay.
So that then we have these three important paintings. These two paintings were in the starting one was constructed. Then the students with the help of our teacher, Mr. Mustafa Chaudhary, tried to figure out some figures and reconstructed it. And in this painting you can also see the perspective that the painting is going away from you. And this is a masterpiece of Scindia. In this painting, the students have used watercolors, yellow colors, paper cuttings, collage work to complete the piece of art. And it is made by my
Very good. So, fantastic. Fantastic. Stuff done. Very good. Absolutely.
As the company knows, they are these are class 10 walls of one department is trying to depict these blocks of people. They show different kind of expressions of people living in India, being united despite of the fact being diverse. We just try to depict it that unbox in with these 40 blocks.
At last, above we have some medical drawing. These paintings are very tested as students take almost 20 days to complete the painting.
So going off the books, this is both by Shah.
Oh, yeah?
This one, this example.
How long did it take you to get?
So, around 1 month.
But did you growing up have an interest in painting?
Yeah, I have much of painting as a subject.
What is philosophic
subject, and with maths and painting, computer architecture, computer graphics, fashion design, filmmaking. So why are you taking the subject?
that's common focus on academics. You take a lot of knowledge, but growing up you never use your hands to do anything, to make anything. And the skill and life progression becomes more and more important. You have to use your hands to build something. This feeling of joy that creation. I mean, this is true creation.
Very expressive process also. Why they come very, very interested in their own personal
But because of your guidance, they are able to create masterpieces.
Thank you so much.
So who is first?
Here's another picture of a t-shirt with a one side. These are some posters which they are from the side. These are two colors. Yes,
Good morning, sir.
fine. I'm Yash, I'm from class 10 and I'm representing on the behalf of designing department. And so these all are corporate paper designs. And so we take the idea from the nature, transfer it to various pattern designs. And so we use multi-acrylic colors to create that. And so it is used for commercial purposes and we can use for it for marketing. And so these all are pre and post. And so this art is called multiple ground. And so we use natural or acrylic colors. So he will take.
When you say natural color, what does that mean?
Like
Very good morning, sir. My name is Aditya. I'm here to present you a exhibition by the modeling department. To begin with, we have a model of automation. So, two-piece model.
Do you know the history of God relation?
Sir, his head was and
Whose head was God?
so it was a son of Parvati and elephant's head was placed because Parvati was like against from Lord Shiva's
Good. Very good, very good. Yeah. But that's something also. Who told you that story? Did you learn it at school or did you learn it at home? In school?
Yeah.
Really?
There are movies on this.
Okay. So is your mom happy about the fact that you now know the story? Is she happy or no? Or she don't get it? Okay.
It's a POP type. It's a sample of high-rated for an in-die casting done in our department.
Hello, sir.
In-die casting is the first illegal from first we
It has a very metallic.
we applied mixture of green and white oil for making so it's a terracotta tile depicting 5 elements of nature.
Then you have a kiln to make this.
This fire. So for you, this might depend from the rest as experiment is done by the modeling department. That is, we have applied hot wax on a terracotta structure to give it a
What class are you? Oh, I see too much of it every day. It's a blind spot for me. Very good. What is it? Metal syrup. Fantastic.
I welcome you to the middle of the garden. So today we will going to explain you how we make all beautiful models.
So the first step is to conceptualize all the ideas we need and then draw that concepts onto a timeline. And being titled and easy models, we have to draw each and every part separately so that we can convert that into a metal piece.
So third part is choosing an appropriate metal. As metal has three types: thin, round, and square metal. So choosing a round metal, we can easily mold. But choosing a square metal, we can easily paint. So choosing an appropriate metal is also a very important part in making the model.
So then we cut metal.
What kind of metal is this?
So this is steel.
Steel. You only work with steel.
So then we grind the metal to give it a good finishing. And then afterwards we weld it. So welding is mainly done by self, but we also know how to weld on a strict supervision.
And the second last step is painting red oxide on the model so that it can be protected from rusting. But after that, we paint the model from different colors so that it looks very attractive and it looks very nice. Yes.
So we generally use Asian paint. This last one.
You saw the ad also.
So and these are the thin metals. We have
So something like this helicopter gunship will take how long?
Around 15 to 20 years.
That's it.
So these are made of metal sheets. We have turned metal sheets in the shape of helicopter.
So that's provided that they only have these three classes and
You have to be very careful. Dangerous also. आप देखते होंगे ओवरसी करते हुए
but till now nobody actually has had it released it.
So this is made out of metal sheets.
So how do you turn it? Do you hammer it or?
Yes, sir.
So these are the glasses made by glass 6 and 7.
These are basically made up of cardboard and we wrap it with handmade sheet and decorate it with the help of fillings and beads. Then we have these paper bags. These are also made up of handmade sheets. Then these are recycled handmade paper which are also made by the small students. Then this year we thought of making new things. So here are some jewelry boxes made up of cardboard, laces and beads. So now here are some paper materials like folders and envelopes which are also made by small students.
So we have recycled some old CDs by decorating with beads and difficult items like mirrors. Next, we have made mirrors by using what we want to make money. Instead of mirrors, we want to make and binding on.
Why? Because you want to color it in.
So this is a texture given by the use of paper mache, which we normally known as
Scindia will make it India. Devotion. Right? The Prime Minister would love this. Like students are creating. It's a smiling lion.
We are very expensive languages. It's absolutely
संस्कृत प्रदर्शन्यां हप्ता हार्दं स्वागतम् अहं निश्चय टीचर् सिद्धार्थः
प्रदर्शन्यां विषये संस्कृतभाषाणां विकासः तदा उद्भवः अस्ति
भवान् जानाति संस्कृतं सर्वासां भाषाणां जननी अस्ति.
It means that Sanskrit is the mother of all the languages. It is the creator and originator of the words that have been derived from different languages in other languages.
So when it comes to numbers, we have number 8, which we pronounce in Sanskrit as Ashtar. And when it comes to speaking German, we pronounce the same number as R.
In Hindi, we pronounce it as art. In English, as aid. So, Sanskrit has been a mentor. Many words have been derived from Sanskrit and other languages. Now, we take you back to the history of Sanskrit.
From 1500 to 500 Sanskrit came into existence. It was the Vedic people who used to speak basically the Rishis. Now comes the Pali. Pali was from 500 to 1 BC. It was amongst the good people like the disciples of Gautam. Now comes Prakrit. Prakrit was from 1 BC to 500 BC. It was among the Jan Samaj, basically in the group and the Jan.
And then came Abhyantara, which was spoken between 500 ESV till 1000 ESV. It was a medium, it was a general medium for commerce. And you know Hindi. Hindi has been in existence from 1000 ESV till now. And Hindi has two modulations. They are Likhit and Maukik. Likhit is what we write and Maukik is what we speak. So Sanskrit. Sanskrit न केवलं पूर्ण भारतस्य प्राचीन भाषा मन्यते, परंतु संस्कृत एवं पूर्ण विश्व से प्राचीन भाषा मन्यते. धन्यवाद.
So the figure actually is the standard. This is the paper is Scindia School. However, Scindia School did not thus it was passed down to the so the students got to learn different styles of debating and different formats of debating. However, it was stage 1 to 1 this concept was more than the word
So I'm Love of last year and I'm here to take you through this. So this exhibition will basically brief you about the evolution of now. But so before all this, I would like to show you how exactly the Big Bang theory helped reveal the Earth existence. So the universe expanded after a huge explosion of primordial iron. As matters flew out, the condensation of gases took place, because of which many galaxies were formed. From all these galaxies, there is a lot of galaxies. And especially this one. And is known as Milky Way galaxy. So in our galaxy, there are many solar systems. And so from all those solar systems, our solar system is and is said to be the only solar system where life exists, just because of one planet, that is Earth, which is 1/3 radiation from the sun. Now, so I will brief you about the evolution of man. So the first.
I hope they don't move. You're not jumping.
So the first man you see this one is Dryopithecus. So he is a common ancestor of man and ape. So he was found 25 million years ago in tropical forest of East Africa. So You must have noticed that its arms and legs both are equal, because of which it had significance. It also had large teeth, and they lived on trees and ate soft fruits and leaves. Then this man, Dryopithecus, was evolved into Ramapithecus. So he was found 15 million years ago in Shivalik hills of Himalayas. So they also lived on treetop, but they ate and traveled on ground. So with the help of small canines and large boulders, they were able to chew hard nuts and seeds. Then this man, Ramapithecus, was evolved into Australopithecus. He was the first ape man. He was found 4 to 5 million years ago in South Africa. With height easy 1.05 meter, he was able to walk erect. And so this was the first stage which had biometric.
So this was really all
Yeah, 1.5 meter. Then this man was evolved into Homo erectus. So Homo erectus was found 1.7 million years ago. They migrated to Europe and Asia. And they made use of the help of arms as well as tools. And so this was the first stage which made the use of arms. And their height was approximately 1.5 meters. Then this man, known as Homo erectus, was evolved into Neanderthal. So Neanderthal's first fossil was found in Grander Valley in Germany in 1856. Inhabited in Europe and Central Asia, their height was also 1.5 meters to 1.6 meters. So they had large skull and they also had strong arms and shoulders. And this was also the first stage which started agriculture, and they also had social structure, custom and religion. Then this stage was evolved into Homo sapiens. Homo sapiens first fossil was found in 1868 from rocks of France. Homo sapiens height was also approximately 1.5 meters. They also had large skull and strong jaws. And so this stage had the appearance of wisdom teeth and narrow elevated nose. They usually lived in families, and they also did art paintings in caves and wore ivory ornaments. Then this man, Homo sapiens, was evolved into modern man, known as Homo sapiens that now. Now we Homo sapiens also needed to enhance ourselves, for which we are advancing the technology day by day, about which my friend imagined.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Vikansh Bansal of Grade 10, and I hope that it would have been a pleasure for you to go through the evolution of human. But now I would like to grab your attention to this part of the evolution, which is really something very interesting. It's the evolution of energy. Through the passage of time, as humans were evolving, started using different sources of energy and technology to make their life easier. So the first source of energy that man used was fire. The innovation of heat was a breakthrough in evolution. So this is a model of the non-renewable sources. So for example, you can decide the windmills and where the solar energy. Today I am making that we are getting more and more to an extent. Now we are the work to be done by just a click of a button. So the posture of the human in the future will be semi-erect because of the growth of the action. So as you have seen the man evolving, this evolution will definitely go on. So it took 250 million years for man to evolve from there to here, but it will take only a decade to end if we not use our resources judiciously. If we harness energy for optimum usage in everywhere, I guess our city, country or world will look just like this. Life, death, and no life. So we need to conserve our mother's nature.
With the roots of a tree, and the tree has grown around the rock. So, incidentally, you might learn the principle of integration.
Carbon testing the water.
Isn't that quite extraordinary?
I was just worried that they should not start jumping on us. Like a hidden train.
So where is Erectus?
Welcome to Scindia. My name is Scindia is the premier computer system of India. Today we work on such a happy looking like 3D printing, video making, poster designing,
So we have a few of our items present here. We have video, we have games, we have games, we have bodies.
Very nice. To the next one. We have enough time. Thank you. Next. Next up we
shows how much you develop second information, which helps the mind develop as and
this stuff is Harvard stuff. But it's easy and tough. It doesn't have as many tools. But easier software tools. There's a lot of good,
Augmented reality is an illusion which is not present in the real world, but via gadgets we can see them. So throughout the course of the presentation, so you will find out the efficient system of augmented reality.
in fire engineering in big buildings. So my robot contains 2 large motors, one motor to lift the bed up and down and another motor to control the bed. So this is ultrasonic sensor. So the sensor is used so that it does not let the robot fall down by sending sound waves. And so this is touch sensor. So when I press this, this robot will move forward. So when I again press, so this robot will come back.
Demonetization is the act of stripping currency, status, and why it happened. The answer to this is
Color sensor. So yellow is green what?
So yellow is used to this will come down and show yellow.
Through which lamp is pointed to. People store
Have you got people in there?
Yes, sir.
Who are climbing, breathing, so this is for a fire brigade.
So when we are robots, so they can take inspiration from it.
Very good. And what is flash mode? This is
So you will see the panoramic view of Scindia Night.
What is that? Is that a house function or is that?
Yes, sir. It's the March past we have. This is from the Independence Day. So we have March past on Independence Day and Parliament Day.
These are some. So, have you ever seen a squirrel standing on 2 legs?
Maybe. I don't know.
Then you should see this.
Oh wow.
Because it is a very rare scene and squirrels generally do not stand on their 2 legs.
This is also taken on campus.
And here are some beautiful. This is what you were asking, no?
This is what the light on
You see a lot of people.
In fact, the biodiversity of the photos.
So in this boat we have the street photography. So we generally capture people in black and white color because black and white photographs directly connect the people who are watching to it. It's Indian. It's a Indian logo. Indian. So this year we have also put up a board which is totally gripped by technical things. Like this is just very high speed photography, which the raindrops are captured, and you could see it's totally different to that. It's a very slow shutter speed photography. It's great. These are some photos of monuments in Gwalior. Tomb of Muhammad Ghaus, it's Manar Gada. Sun Temple, it's an exact replica of Sun Temple, Konark. So this is
Adventure and social sports exhibition, sir. So in Scindia, a Scindian is not complete unless he has many values such as social service, a sense of adventure, teamwork, and a spirit of wanting to work hard towards achieving one's goal. And we in Scindia School believe that can be attained in the best way through the method of adventure and social service. So, sir, I'll be introducing you to the adventure part of this exhibition first. So our students go for various adventure activities, and these are the mountaineering activities. And in fact, the 10th, 11th, and 12th class, they go for bigger mountaineering activities such as the Yuna Peak, which was last year, which was at a height of 6,112 meters, which is roughly 21,000 feet. And we successfully summited that peak. And this year we went to the Everest Base Camp, in fact. And Nitya over here, he was one of the participating students, so we just kind of
headed for the Mount Everest base camp. So we reached Kathmandu on the 6th of May, and which was followed by training and a briefing session. So we had training and briefing for the next 2 days, and on the 8th of May we took a flight to Nepal. On the same day we headed towards a nearby village called Pandey, and then further moved on towards the Sherpa capital, Namche Bazar. We took the way which passed through the village Tempuche and had night stays in various places over there. Our trek included hiking from Tiger's Falls and various night stays. Around the trek, all of us saw other activities like Namche, Pandey, and Namche, after the 10-day trek, 7 civilians and along with Mr. Patania successfully summited the Mount Everest base camp, which is situated at about 5,364 meters.
It's a typical village, right? That's the village. You sit there and
So these activities are actually not done during school time because we Scindians are extremely restless and we really want to and have a lot of thirst for adventure. So all these things, there's the mountaineering, there's skiing, and there's the cycling expedition, which is held every vacation. So the skiing is held in the winters, whereas the mountaineering and the cycling expedition is held in the summer months of the vacations. And those students who really want to do, again, from 10th and 11th, they opt for going for these adventure courses. And so 34 of our students last year went for various adventure courses. So these are foundation courses which teach you the technicalities of adventure, how to use caravans, how to use your ropes properly, things like that. So we went for 4 different courses, and one of them was the Atal Bihari Vajpayee Institute of Mountaineering and Allied Science. And they did their basic mountaineering course from there. So these are the 2 students who went from there. So
now you know how to tie every kind of knot.
We'll be telling you about the basic knots which are used in almost all of the mountaineering activities, various adventure activities, lights are there. So to begin with, we have the double figure of 8 knot. So it's an improvised scene. It is used to balance the load of the person between 2 anchor points, so that the person is more swiftly able to move across. And it's an improved version of figure of 8.
So the next knot is square knot. So square knot cannot be used in critical situation, and especially in terms of safety. And it is also known as the binding knot.
Okay, Neha, what is your favorite knot?
It's the double figure of 8 and the crucible.
So if you want...
Same favorite knots.
So if you want, they can teach you. If you were any one of these knots you would like to learn, then they'll tell you the function and how to actually tie it.
Okay. It seems like that one's your favorite. Okay.
So you double up the same person, then you just hold it with hook, you bend it, you cross it over here, then you bring it over here, and then you just rotate it. So you have one
Right, so then you just take it from here.
So then take it out. Yes, and just put it.
Magic!
No worries, sir.
So we can try it out. Then you just take out the focus and then you get a loop over. So you bring it out of that.
There you go, sir.
Get it done.
One thing I learned. Is it actually a double?
Yes.
Just read
That's very perfectly made.
Oh, you meaning to say mine is very imperfect.
So they did do a 14-day course. So.
I guess in 14 seconds I'll get it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So the next course, that it's a quite interesting course that they went was the skiing course in Gulmarg. They went for 14 days skiing. So rhythm is
Oh, this is the other class.
Who went drafting? So drafting is actually we go every year. So it's divided into class 9 and class 11. Half of class 11 goes for drafting, and it's a more advanced course. The 9th class. So everybody in 9th class goes for a drafting camp. It's called adventure camps, and they learn about the basics of drafting. They go on to the Alaknanda River and tackle basic rapids and things like that. And then the selected students of the 11th class go for the more advanced, rigorous version, Alaknanda, Rishikesh. And so the other half of 11th class actually goes for the cycling expedition. And last year we went from Gwalior to Indore. It was a distance of 520 kilometers. In fact, Snehal was one of the participants.
In 5 days. So 100 kilometers each.
And so finally, the 6th and 7th class, they learn how to do adventure right here on the board. So while you might have been coming up, you might have seen the various natural structures and things like that. These are great places to start on. And 6th and 7th in the month of February, they start their initiation. So now it's the social service part of our school. And again, it's a very large half of this Indian ethos. And so Varun Awasthi is going to tell you about Ground Square, which is a subdivision of our social service.
Here we are going to exhibit what we do as Ground Square is an international organization which has more than 200 schools as a member. Then we have 6 pillars of Ground Square: international democracy, environmentalism, adventure, leadership and service. And so when these 6 pillars come together, they are known as the ideals of the Ground Square. And so our school is embedded on all the 6 ideals of the Ground Square. So as you can see in the photos, our board is yes. So our students go for exchanges. So we have democracy in the democratic style, like we elect our prefects. Then we have adventure, environmentalism, like we harvest and water this. Then we have adventure, and the 6th idea would be told by adventure. So, thanks.
So leadership is not always important. It's like you will work with them, you will feel like you are doing. So as I will already for your service is very so we do a lot of we also started in the classroom. The breakfast I myself experienced when I went there. Children aged around 10 to 20 kilometers daily. After reaching there, they did not get a proper place and had to sit down and study and get an easy. So then a school decided to help them. So from last year, we are helping them. We made dormitories, rooms, so that they can study there. We have it's a global project.
This is social science.
Social science.
Welcome to the German department. My name is Jay Chauhan and I'm 11th grade. I'm also the secretary of the society, also called as the Shop. This year the German department took an initiative of creating awareness throughout the school that German laureates have learned to be very hardworking, and we chose chemistry and medicine as 2 of our main verticals of this exhibition. So people all over here not only specialized in certain fields of their vertical specializations, but have also won Nobel Prizes for their excellence in certain years. Furthermore, it gives me immense pride sharing with you that Scindia School has been successfully able to host the International PASH Youth Camp for the last 7 years. So PASH means Partner Schools for the Future, which involves studying with the modern technology. So this youth camp is basically a platform for the young German learners to enhance their language skills and to set a good benchmark in the modern linguistic society. Countries like Indonesia, Vietnam, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka and India itself are a part of this camp. So Ishan and Rubal would now like to take you further.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Ishan Agarwal. I'm from class 10. And so, adding on to what my friend Jay said, Jay Chahar and I got the opportunity to attend the International Germany Youth Camp held in Germany on 100% scholarship. Also, 4 students also got the opportunity to attend the German Youth Camp in Jodhpur 2017. So, apart from all the international representation, this German society also successfully organized competitions at the school level. Caricature competition, board builder competition, etc. Board builder competition is a unique one because in this illustrations are filled with text. It gives 2 purposes. First is that it gives a sense of competition. Second, it also embeds the bird, which illustration is portrayed here, into the mind of the learner. And also under the aegis of the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, we also organized the poster making competition to create awareness of cleanliness in the German. Also, sir, the German Society has also successfully published its magazine Zeitgeist, and last year we selling students are learning German. So around 1.7.
So this is the first model. It tells you about the power of pyramid. Basically, pyramid is a structure with a square base, and when you convert it to a circular base, it becomes a cone or a conical pyramid. A conical pyramid amplifies sound or energy to its maximum. Like in this experiment, you can see that the vibrations, you will be seeing that the vibrations produced in the pin by the growth of the base is amplified by the cone. These are some mystical powers on the cone. These mystical powers we said that electricity inside a pyramid is thrice more powerful. There are also some powers that pyramids have been proved to preserve food for a longer time. It keeps batteries fully charged and it keeps the razor blade sharp, and it also enhances plant. So this is an infinity measuring tape. Like if you buy a tape for measuring, like say buy a tape from the market just to measure the length of this table, it will end up after 10, 15 or 20 meters. But this you can use to measure as much length as you want, like 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers. It basically works like this. If you turn it, and after every 1 meter, bell will ring, and you can count that it is 1 meter.
Very innovative. Good morning, sir. Good afternoon, sir. I'm one student from class 10. So here we have 1 game. So in this game, we have 4 cubes. So with 2 sides, heads and tails. So sir, at the end of the game, you have to get 4 tails. And sir, historical reference.
9/11 again. Wow.
It's a two consecutive wars of peace by the Indians in the 1960s.
Very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are today reporting live from the Scindia School for Guardia.
As we all know, so war
today's
is here. The always handle the country's economies. It's continuous borrowings from foreign countries and the International Monetary Fund led to a state of budget deficiency. Thank you.
And I am Krishna. On behalf of the Business Bee Society, we will be interviewing 4 major dignitaries of the school. Through this interview, we will cover some major topics like demonetization and GST.
Highly posted personality, inventor of GST and responsibility.
We've done this.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir.
So my name is Gaurav Agarwal. I am in 11th class. Sir, it is the last phase of our exhibition. Sir, here's a small game for you. Sir, the name of the game is Tol Mol Ke Boliye. So in this, many products are kept here. So you have to choose. Yes, sir. You have to choose any 2 products, and you have to tell me the accurate price of the product. If it is right, you will get the.
Maybe the juice and the biscuit.
Yeah, I think so.
The price.
Exact होना चाहिए. Is there a
Sir, minus
no,
just 2
rupees?
Yes, sir.
Alright, that's sharp.
Yes.
Just be like 50 rupees. 30?
Yes.
30? I was going to say 30. I'm just kidding. नहीं रखो रखो. Let me guess. ये तो 10 रुपए का. नहीं सर 15 रुपए का. 20.
चलो सर प्लीज टाइम आपको जो मेरे को चाहिए था वो मैंने ले लिया
आप फिर से कर लोगे.
Incidentally, I'm terrible, so I don't even want to hazard it. I don't even want to hazard it. What is this?
It's a powder that
Not a kilo, I'm sorry.
This is what, 15 rupees?
Sir, 4 pencils, 4 and the pack is of 40.
10 pencils. Yeah. Prices have gone up.
Mr. Kunal Behl, co-founder and CEO of Snapdeal, and the chief guest for the Founders Day this year. I also extend a very warm welcome to the members of the Board of Governors, Mr. Gandhi, Mr. Harpal Singh, Mrs. Jaini, Mr. Son, and also a very special welcome to Mr. Martin Choker, who is the Chief Executive of International Students House in the UK, and his team. And if I've left anybody, my apology. So a very warm welcome to everybody here. To really start the interaction, what I'll do is I'll read out a very small piece of information about Mr. Behl, who's with us today. And then I'll request for a short address, which Mr. Behl has very kindly agreed. And then we'll go ahead with the question-answer session. So just for the benefit of everybody, in February 2010, Mr. Behl, along with Rohit Bansal, started Snapdeal, India's largest online marketplace, with a mission to create life-changing experiences through this platform by connecting buyers and sellers of millions of products from thousands of national, international, and regional brands. With over 3,000 sellers, Snapdeal is the shopping destination for internet users across the country, delivering to 6,000 plus cities and towns in India. In its journey till now, Snapdeal has partnered with several global marquee investors such as SoftBank, BlackRock, Temasek, eBay, Premji Investment, and the list goes on. Kunal is an engineer from University of Pennsylvania with a business degree from the Wharton School. And he has been a recipient of several distinguished awards, including the Prime Minister's Award for Contribution to the Digital Industry. Ladies and gentlemen, may I please request you for a loud round of applause and welcome.
It's 300,000 sellers, 3,000. I'm so thrilled to be here with the students and all the faculty and Board of Governors. It always energizes me when I'm around students. Unfortunately, when I was growing up, when I was your age, I went to a good school, not as good as this one. And I didn't have the benefit of having people who were relatively closer to my age come and give talks about what they were doing in their lives. So it was a lot about education and academics and study hard, that type of stuff, which is also very important. So I thought, this was an interesting opportunity to come and spend time with the students. And the whole point of today and this session is for you guys to ask questions. And I'll just give you a little bit of overview about what my life has been till now, and then whatever you guys want to ask, you should ask. Feel free to ask anything at all. Professional, personal, anything. Anything's fair game. So I grew up in Delhi, went to school, this tiny little school called DPS Arkepuram, if some of you have heard of it. It's a very small school with a few people, few students. And in my class 10th, I really wanted to study commerce. How many of you are studying science? Okay, commerce? And humanities is also there? Okay, great. Good. So, I actually wanted to study commerce, and my parents wanted me to study science. I'm sure you guys are familiar with that concept. My brother went to IIT, so I was expected to go to IIT as well. Not because I wanted to, but because I had to. So I also started studying for IIT, went to all the coaching institutes, etc. And I was doing well, but then I actually didn't get in to IIT. So I said, what to do now? So I took a gap year. I started studying for the SATs. How many of you are studying for SATs? Although not much studying is required for that exam. And so I got into college in the US. No one in my family had ever gone to the US,
extended family. So I applied to one college, which was UPenn. They had a joint degree program, engineering, business, etc. I just took 2 suitcases and showed up. And 4 years later, I got a degree. At that point in time, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. The only thing I knew was I wanted to start and run companies. That was what excited me. So in my final year of college, I started a detergent company. You know, young Indian boys in the US are associated with IT and software. And here I was being referred to as laundry boy because I started a detergent company. And, but I really enjoyed it, etc., etc. But problem was that I was not a US citizen. So as a result, my visa couldn't be sponsored. So I moved to a large company called Microsoft. And thinking that they'll sponsor my visa. I was there for a few months. They applied for my visa, which got rejected. And then I moved back to India. I was pretty much asked to leave the US. I came back to India and I didn't know what to do. So I called up my best friend from school and we started a coupon book company where we were selling physical coupon books. Just you tear a coupon, give it to a shopkeeper and give you a discount. That's how we started the company. From there, that was 2007, about 10 years ago. A couple of years into that business, while we were making some progress, we ran out of money. And somehow or the other, we were able to climb out of that trough. Some investors started coming in to the company. We started changing our business model a few times. We went from coupon book to mobile coupons to discount cards. We tried 10 different business models. Around 2010 was the inflection point. We started Snapdeal as an online couponing platform. A bunch of investors started coming into that business. For 2 years, we had a great ride. But in 2013, we again ran into trouble as a company. We again ran out of money. And then somehow we were able to pull ourselves through that also. Then after that, in the following 2 years, investors gave us $1 billion. From having $0 to $1 billion was quite a journey. And our goal, however, while we were building our company was very, very clear. We wanted to build a business which can create massive impact. That was very important. Something that can actually touch lives of millions and millions of people. That was most critical for us. And we made tremendous mistakes, tremendous number of mistakes. Thankfully, none of them were fatal. We made tremendous mistakes in this journey. We didn't have a great set of mentors, unfortunately, which is something I always encourage everyone to seek out. But at the end of the day, it is very, very important to know what your true calling is. Our true calling was we wanted to build a large business that can touch and impact lives of millions of people. And that's what continued to motivate us. That's what motivates us even today. I don't want to get into a lot of gory details about each event that happened in the last 10 years, but I'm happy to get into specifics or any questions that you guys may have. Any questions if you guys have about, if you're thinking about starting a company also. I mean, how many of you want to become entrepreneurs? Uncha haath. Okay. Pretty good. 30% or so, 30-35%. 5 years later, 10 years later, 20 years later, why do you want to start a company? And do you think you will get the necessary support that you need to start and build a company? So I'll stop there because I know we have limited time right now, and maybe make it more interactive. Yeah? Okay, sounds good.
So there's one common connect between Mr. Behel and the Scindia School, and that happens to be that the way to the Scindian heart is through, and each, I would say, a Scindian's heart is through his stomach. And I'm told that Mr. Behel is also quite a foodie. While we were doing some research, we found out that he's a closet food critic. And, quite frankly, I don't know what a closet food critic is all about. So probably that is something that will interest them the most, and so we'll begin on that note.
Yeah, I think, building a company is a very, very hard job. it requires you to sacrifice a lot of things, sacrifice friends, sacrifice having a lot of friends, sacrifice a lot of activities often. One thing I have not sacrificed is food, which is probably quite visible also. And you know, I think I just draw great joy from trying new cuisines, and I don't cook, I just eat. And I feel for each one of us it is very important to find that one thing that gives you that escape, that gives you that joy, away from day-to-day work, day-to-day job, day-to-day professional pursuit. So for me that is food, travel, adventure sports. So with a lot of interest, I saw all the students who are doing all the adventure sports, really incredible. I think it's a great way to let go. I think let go of the control that you otherwise like to have in your lives.
Thank you. So now I'll go for probably a rapid fire round in the end, and we'll make it more interactive. So I think I'll come closer to the students now.
Even in our company, when we do town halls with our team, the first question is always the one that people don't want to ask. Nobody wants to ask the first question.
My question is more of a generic question. So over here in school we learn about a lot of concepts when it comes to the commerce classes, about how to set up the right kind of a business and all the theory behind it. But in practical terms, once we're out there in the field, is it more important to have all the knowledge that we gain over here, or is it more important to be street smart, or having that sort of cutting attitude that you require, the minimal amount you require for a business?
To know that you are cunning. That's generally not a good idea. Truly cunning people never let other people know that they are cunning. But let's leave it at that. Look, I think education is very important. Whatever people may say about concepts being bookish or purely academic and limited to the classroom, I think that's hygiene. You need basic training. You need to understand basic concepts of life. Gravity, physics, chemistry, mathematics, because in your day-to-day life, in a very sublime manner, all of those things will be required, irrespective of whatever you do, whether you do a job, whether you run your own business. I think this street smartness, or whatever you want to call it, comes with experience, and more so comes with exposure. A lot of people have a lot of experience. People say, I have 30 years of experience, I have 20 years of experience. But really what matters is exposure. And as a result, what exposure means is trying many new things, being exposed to many new things, exposed to new types of problems, being very curious about the problems other people are facing in your peer group, how are they solving them. And that's what gives you exposure, and that exposure helps you a lot in life. But it's very easy for someone who's no longer studying, such as me, to be very dismissive of, पढ़ाई करने का कोई फ़ायदा नहीं है, right? Or the studying has no value. That is not true actually. If I were to be truly honest to myself, having your basic concepts in place is very helpful day to day in your life, and you don't even realize it. Like I don't remember what physics concept I use every day in my life, or what mathematical concept I use, but I'm sure I'm using some that I learned when I was your age. So both are quite important.
Thank you. Next question. So you talked about your visa being rejected and all. So a lot of us are applying abroad for our study. So what do you suggest, and what should we do after we've done our study there?
At the end of the day, you have to decide for yourself what's right for you. But I would say one of the at least in my life, and maybe I'll get into it a little more detail in the evening, but I've seen every time a dark cloud has shown up over my head, it also had a very thick silver lining. And for me at least, not getting a visa to continue working in the US was probably the biggest blessing, because I won't be sitting here today if I'd gotten a visa. I would be working at Microsoft. I won't worry about it. I actually feel that you should get educated at the best institution in the world, whether that's in India or outside India, but then come back to our country. Because the amount of opportunity, the amount of flux, the number of challenges, and as a result, the number of opportunities that exist as a result of those challenges are just truly immense here. The amount of talent in our country, the amount of passion we have, it's unmatched. It's absolutely unmatched. And I won't give up a single, I won't give up anything to go back. If someone gave me a visa to say, here is a visa, you can go back now, I would still not go back. And maybe life was different 20, 30 years ago when those opportunities were not there. But India is going to be the #1 country in the world in the next 30, 40, 50 years. And I think it'll be the #1 country, the next 2, 3, 4 centuries will be our country's century. And you and your generation has a unique opportunity to lay the foundation stones for that. Why would you give up that opportunity? Your grandchildren, great-grandchildren, their grandchildren should remember what you did now to create a great country.
Thank you.
More important in life, successes or failures?
Right. I don't think one should look at it as what is more important, because there is 100% likelihood that both will happen to you in this lifetime. Success and failure, often in equal measure. Hopefully more success and less failure, but I have not met anyone who's only successful or only failed. I've always felt that success is never final, and failure is also rarely fatal. What really counts is whether you have the courage to continue or not when the chips are down. Right? When things are going on the up, everything's great. Everyone loves you. Family loves you. Friends love you. Media loves you. Everyone loves you. It's when you hit a trough, and everyone hits a trough multiple times in their lives. I have, in a short period of time, hit many, I can tell you. It's at that point in time, it becomes clear the strength of character that you have. And at a young age, if you start seeing some of those troughs, it actually prepares you much better. A lot of people keep saying, oh, you've done well, you've done well. I only remember the failures in my own life. I actually don't remember the awards and the successes and the money. I don't remember any of that. I only remember the times I failed. And there were many times, dozens. But at each such moment, it's gathering your inner strength and saying, I will come out of this. Just keep going, keep going, keep going. And you'll realize very quickly that failure period has turned into a success period. So just not giving up is the most critical thing. But there is no, I won't say it's either or. Both will happen to you, and a lot of both will happen to you. It's how you deal with success and failure that matters.
Good afternoon, sir. So my question to you is, so what is the relation between creative intelligence and success in business? The creative intelligence.
I would say there is a creative intelligence, because that's very subjective. Creativity is a very subjective point. I would say there is an acutely high correlation between emotional intelligence and success in life in general, not only in business. And all of you are familiar with the concept of emotional intelligence, EQ, right? If you're not, essentially it's about how you deal with people, how you deal with relationships, how you deal with tough situations. That is what truly will govern whether your success in life and in business. I don't think having high IQ has very high correlation to success in life or in your personal life either. But very high EQ has very high correlation to success. So always strive, ask yourself, read up what means, I'm not going to give you a lecture on EQ right now, but read up. What does EQ mean? What does it mean to have high EQ? What is the behavior that high EQ people exhibit? And how can you imbibe some of those within yourself? That's I would say that has the highest correlation to success in life, both personal and professional, because both are important.
Could integrity be exhibited by somebody who's high on EQ? Could we relate integrity with EQ?
I think they're independent. You can have very high EQ with low integrity also. Unfortunately, I think integrity by itself is such a critical pillar in life that should be absolutely non-negotiable, right? And you know, Mr. Tata was here last year, right? And he is someone who truly stands for integrity, trust, loyalty than most business people I have ever met. And we're very fortunate he was one of our early investors. And I've learned some of those concepts from him. Although I think integrity is innate, either you have it or you don't. It's hard to learn it. But obviously when you meet someone like him and you see how much success he's seen, while following a high integrity approach at each point in his life, it inspires you, because you watch all these movies, Bollywood and Hollywood movies, about how people took the shortcut and became successful. You know, Wolf of Wall Street. How many of you watched that movie? See, everyone. Life doesn't work like that. Please don't follow that. You will get into a lot of trouble. Hollywood and Bollywood glamorizes all this stuff, but that's not how the world works. People don't respect such people in the real world. People respect people like Mr. Tata, who at every juncture, when they were given an option to take the high road or the low road, they took the high road.
You know, yesterday, borrowing from what Dr. Saraswat said yesterday about, you know, in Scindia School we would want to have, you know, we would want to give students the correct references and, you know, the right stimulants. And I was just wondering, because you talked about all this, that, you know, could emotional intelligence and integrity, which sometimes can be different, sometimes they may not be related, could that be developed with correct references and stimulants? Could that be part of education, EQ?
Absolutely, I think that's what great teachers do for the students. That's what parents do for their children. That's what friends should do for their peers. Because all of us, through our lives, I mean, all of you have and will continue to be encountering situations where you could do the right thing or the wrong thing. And I can tell you, just constantly doing the right thing will always lead you in the long run in the right place. And doing a wrong thing in the near term might create a good outcome in the near term. In the long run, it will create a bad outcome. I can guarantee that. So whenever given an opportunity to do the right thing or the wrong thing, just do the right thing. Just blindly do the right thing. It will lead you to the right place. You will be loved, respected by everyone around you, and that counts for a lot more than any amount of money or success.
Thank you, thank you. Right, some more questions? Yeah, please.
Neither. Happiness. I think you're going to leave it and go, right? What are you going to do with power? People around you will say, wow, 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 you're great, you're amazing. They'll do namaste, they'll touch your feet, etc. But it's all pointless actually beyond a point. What really matters is, do you have inner peace? Do you have happiness? Do you have love for your friends and family? Do you have curiosity of knowledge? Those things matter a lot more in life. But sure, I mean, I'm not saying money is not needed at all. But people overstate the amount of money that is needed to lead a healthy, happy life. See, I always tell anyone who asks me, oh, what is most important to you? Right? I just say there are 3 things that I care about. And that determines how much money I need in my life to be happy. My health and health of my family, right? The well-being, overall well-being of my family. So health, family, and my freedom. So never do anything that hurts any of these 3 things. Having good health is not expensive. It's not expensive at all. Having good relationship with your family is not expensive at all. You just need to spend time with them, give them respect, and our society is such that our parents give 10x more back to us. When we give X, they give 10x back. Even if we don't give X, they give 10x. And then our freedom. Freedom is it's actually very cheap. Just don't do anything wrong, ever. You'll be free. None of these three things cost a lot of money. And if you have these three things, you'll never have the desire to optimize your life to make more money or get more power. If that happens as a consequence, great, it's a bonus. Don't chase those. Chase peace, chase happiness, chase satisfaction, chase good friends, good relationships. That goes on much far. I know so many people whose money went here, then went here, then went here, then went here. And those who had clarity of thought about what do they really care about in life, it didn't matter to them whether their bank balance was 100 or minus 100. It didn't matter to them. It didn't matter whether people were saluting them or not. They just had happiness from within.
Yeah, please.
Our parents have always said, "Padhoge, likhoge, to banoge nawab." So often success is associated with academic excellence in school. What are your views on this?
The kind of opportunities that I would argue even I had, and definitely you guys have, when I was seeing the kind of activities and the extracurricular, co-curricular activities that all of you are doing here, it's just mind-bogglingly impressive. I mean, you guys are geniuses. You guys are so ahead of the curve. And you should be your teachers should be very, very proud of yourselves. The academics, as I said, are very, very important because at some level it forms the foundation of your life. Unfortunately, in our society, we don't have the same social security net that exists outside India. Let's say in the US or Europe, which are wealthy countries, if someone doesn't do a job for 2-3 years, it's fine. They're generally high per capita income. The government supports people who can't support themselves. Our country is not like that yet. I'm sure 30, 40, 50, 100 years later, when our per capita income is higher, we are a richer country, wealthier country, our government will take care of people so that even if they can't take care of themselves, they are sorted. I think academics provides you security and provides you knowledge so that you can pursue what truly your heart wants you to pursue. So if you want to become an artist, it's easier to become one if you know that for whatever reason, were it to not work, at least you have the benefit of knowledge and education with you. You're not going to fall very hard. And that's why our parents tell us to pursue a good education. I don't think there is anything wrong with it. The question we should ask ourselves is, beyond that, what is it that we should be doing? Because that's what's going to truly determine how successful you are in this lifetime.
Thank you. Yeah, Nirmit.
Very good afternoon, sir. Which I want to ask you is, the sciences which you did study, did it help you in the further life? The sciences?
Like the science curriculum in 11th and 12th? Yes. But if you ask me, give me specific examples of where it was helpful, I probably can't point to it. But at the same time, just because I can't point to specific instances doesn't mean that it didn't help to wire my brain in a way that helped me to make better decisions in my life. So don't think of education only as I ingested a concept, now let me look for an opportunity where I can plug this concept. Don't think of education like that, because then you'll always be disappointed. क्या पढ़ा, कुछ सीखा ही नहीं, कुछ यूज़ ही नहीं आया, I couldn't apply anything in life, etc. Think of education as something that helps to wire your brain so you can think properly, think well, think intelligently, think creatively. So it's the wiring for your brain that education is important for, not for you to suddenly sound like a very brilliant person. That doesn't make a difference. So don't be dismissive of that said, I would say our coursework can be updated. I don't know if you're CBSE here or something, but from what I hear from other students I meet in Delhi, that I think I studied the same things you guys are studying. And I wouldn't be surprised if my father studied the same things that I studied and you are studying. So I think some concepts obviously need to be updated, and I'm sure your teachers do that even if in the books they haven't. But that said, don't be dismissive of academics. it's the most fashionable thing to do. But I can tell you, for someone, I was not bad at studies, but it's not like I was brilliant either. But I do have respect for academics. I think it helps to wire your brain the right way.
Could you elaborate on this wiring bit with some anecdotal evidence from your own life? How probably that'll make it easier for them to understand why academics now have more consequence.
Let's say mathematics, right? I think that's one of the. How many of you enjoy maths? A special bunch. I didn't know so many people enjoyed maths, but like I can tell you, let me give an example of maths, right? If you truly assimilate within yourself the concepts of maths, etc., they can really help you in your day-to-day life when you start working. Because every day in your day-to-day life, you will be doing a lot of maths, whether you know it or not. And if you didn't pay attention as much or you hated maths, somewhere along the way it will come and bite you. And so I would say if there is one subject, if people ask me what is one subject should pay a lot of attention to in school, I would say it would be maths. Not taking away from the importance of other courses and other subjects, but at least in my personal experience, mathematics is probably the most helpful subject. If any of you want to go into computer science, how many of you want to do like coding and computer science and build software? What is all? That's all maths only. It's all mathematics. It's all mathematical equations with a syntax. That's it. So everyone who says they are good at computer science, great computer engineers, they're actually good at maths. That's all they are. So it doesn't mean everyone has to go that deep into maths, but I'm giving you a specific example of how academics is not necessarily a bad thing, and it will help to wire your brain a way that will help you in your professional life also.
Right. Thank you. Yes.
Hello. So you spoke a lot about how India is an economy in flux and there's a lot of opportunity as well. But so with how can you ensure as an entrepreneur, is there any concrete roadmap as to how to ensure that your business stays running or is successful and things like that?
If there was a guarantee of entrepreneurship, everyone would become one, become an entrepreneur. Because when it works out, it is also disproportionately rewarding. But there are ways to increase the chances of success, where the probability will never be 100 of success. It may never even be 50%. But you can surely make it increase from 0 or 5 or 10. And that requires good planning. Before you get into a new business, make sure you plan what business you want to get into. Slightly medium to long-term plan. All that everyone does. The most important thing actually is to have deep passion for what you want to do. Because if you don't get into a business where, oh, this thing is hot right now, the most common thing you hear is this thing is hot, let us also get into it. Like 2 years ago, I remember, I do a lot of angel investing. So 2 years ago, every day I was getting business plans of, the Uber of X, right? Uber for laundry, that will come pick up your clothes and launder it and give it to you. Uber for, this is ridiculous, Uber for mineral water. That if you want mineral water on the app, you press a button and someone come and deliver mineral water. It's obviously none of these entrepreneurs are truly passionate about what they were doing. They were just trying to copycat a concept, right, and make it slightly different. That rarely works actually. Because unless you have passion, you will not have the ability to weather the storms that are going to come your way when you run your company. There'll be hurricane, typhoon, earthquake, flood, every natural disaster is going to happen to your company at some point or the other. And your ability to survive those will only depend on how deeply passionate you are about the purpose of your business. Because otherwise it's just you're floating flirting with a business idea. That rarely works.
Thank you. So moving from flirting to romance then, because I just thought that's very apt now. Yeah. So you know, Indians would like to know, because it's an all-boys boarding school. You know, something about your romantic endeavors, perhaps before marriage.
Do you really want the boys to know these things?
Yeah, they're very interested in this, because you know it's an all-boys boarding school, so things like that, it makes it more interesting.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. With the teachers present. Look, I think I feel, and you guys are very young right now. I mean, you're 11, 12, etc. 17, 18. That's your age. 17, 18, 19, right? That age bracket. But I would say one of the, you know, any journey, professional journey, whether you're doing a job or whether you're running your business, is tough. Your boss is going to be demanding, or your investors are going to be demanding. So as a result, everyone needs some sort of oasis in your life. And oasis typically in the form of a high quality relationship. And I'm very happy, very proud that I have a very, very good relationship with my wife, and who I met, you know, now almost six plus years ago. And through the tough times, that special person in your life actually keeps you sane and makes you believe that, you know, whatever may hit the fan, there is, when you go home, there is someone you can go to who will treat you for who you are, and not because you are Mr. CEO or you're Mr. Senior Vice President or whatever. That is very important. You guys are very far from that. I don't think any of you are getting married anytime in the next 2, 3, 5 years. So not the right time for marriage counseling. But yeah, some romance is always good. I would highly encourage it. I think all of you should get girlfriends as soon as possible. If you can. But just, you know, whenever you search for a, you know, special partner, make sure they are very aligned with you. They have the same mental wavelength. Optimize on mental wavelength rather than physical wavelength, if you know what I mean.
That's a very in-depth analysis of romance. Thank you so much. One last question from student, please.
Good afternoon, sir. So as you told us that many times in your journey you have faced very down and ups and downs were there. So how did you take those things, like from top to bottom you have come, you have told us. So how did you face that challenge and how did you come out of it?
You know, I've always believed, and I've learned this over a period of time, that the downs will come, the troughs will come. But even when you're in just at the absolute abyss, like the bottommost point of that you can be on, it's very, very important to not lose your heart, not lose your courage, not lose your passion, and just keep working hard. Don't give up, and take one day at a time, one task at a time, and slowly you'll see that you'll crawl out of the hole you've fallen into. And oftentimes you fall into a hole not because of yourself, but because of circumstances. Also, one thing that I've always seen is very important is that even in the toughest of times, to keep yourself sane, it's very important to know that there is always good in your life still. There's always many positive things still in your life, which you should always love. And if you love what you have, then you won't need anything else. So, you know, love your family, love your friends, love the knowledge you're getting every day. Even if you're working and you're in a bad situation, company's in a bad situation, or you're doing a job and that's not in a good situation, it's okay, take one day at a time. Don't give up. That is most important. The biggest thing people do is they give up when things get tough. And all you need to do is, in the toughest of times, just keep going. Just go a little further, little further, little further, and you'll realize that times will change. Just that courage to continue is the most critical thing.
Right, thank you. I think it is time for lunch. And so we come to the end of this wonderful interaction. Thank you so much, Mr. Behl. It was really a pleasure having you on the fort. And before, thank you. May I request Dr. Saraswat to please come here and present a memento on behalf of Scindia School to Mr.
Actually, as always, pleasure to see you. Pleasure to see Sagar ji. It's a pleasure to see you. Welcome. No one who doesn't know. He's keeping. you here. And I'm glad to see the whole crew. Good to see you. How are you? Welcome to Wally. Welcome to Wally.
The chief guest and all other dignitaries have enjoyed the Shukla method.
You are requested to observe a minute's silence.
Principal Dr. Madhav Deo Saraswat to present the report for the year 2016-17.
Very good evening to all of you. For the first time in last 3 years, it's the first time I can see your faces. Just one question to all the parents and the old boys. And you would like to respond to that with the sound. Are you happy to be here? Are you happy to be here? Do I need to read the annual report for you to tell you that what all we have been doing for the entire year? Yet, I will do my responsibility, but I won't take much time. Honorable Chief Guest, that's not our usual fashion, but I said, let's do it. Honorable Chief Guest, Mr. Kunal Bahal, President Board of Governors, His Highness Maharaja Jyotiraditya Scindia, members of the Board of Governors, Madhav awardees, distinguished guests, parents, my friends, which means old boys, my colleagues, dear students, parents, ladies and gentlemen. It is my privilege to welcome each one of you to the 120th Founders Day of this wonderful school. It is my utmost honor to welcome our Chief Guest and co-founder Snapdeal, Mr. Bahal. He has achieved a lot and scaled his way to the zenith. He has created, ladies and gentlemen, one of India's largest online marketplaces. We all know of his success, and to do full justice to my address towards him, instead of reading his achievements, I would like to read out a few lines that define the character of this person. He says, keep learning. No one, however gifted or talented, can know and experience everything. Hence, it is important to draw learnings from others' experiences and mistakes so that you can be more efficient. Always be a sponge for knowledge. It helps in building a mature and deep perspective on many matters we encounter in business. Mr. Bahal, your quote does not just apply to a business, but it is that philosopher's stone which keeps us aligned to the goal. With this, I would like you to know that we are very, very happy to receive you and to welcome you for this wonderful day. Thank you for adding joy and color to this evening's festivity. And thank you for the honor. I also extend a warm welcome to the students of class of 1992 and class of 2007 who have gathered here. We still have a day to go. For their reunion, it is always a joy to receive you and experience the warmth that you bring to the school. I also take this opportunity with all humility to welcome Mr. N.K. Tiwari, our former principal of the school, and other former teachers like Mr. M.S. Bedi, Mr. B.S. Dheer, Mr. Lalin Singh, Mr. S.N. Upadhyay, and Mr. D.N. Posti. Welcome you, sirs. It is with utmost pleasure that I also welcome representatives of International Student House, ISH London, led by Mr. Martin Chalker, Executive Director of ISH, and his wife, Mrs. Ruth, Mr. David O'Brien, Governor and President, International Students House Alumni Organization, Mr. Neil David Glover, Vice President, ISH Alumni Organization, and Ms. Julie Borovica, Alumni Relations at ISH, and our own Dr. Vikram Mathur, Governor and Alumni of ISH, Governor Alumni Scindia School. Before I read the report, I would like to share a good news, because I think we should start with good news.
Mr. Chalker has very kindly informed me about their decision to increase the number of scholarships. From next year, they will be sponsoring 2 students for Westminster College and will continue adding 1 student more every year, but maximum of 5 at any given time. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Dear sirs, with the permission of the President, Board of Governors, and with your permission, I would like to present the report of the school for the year gone by, and believe me, it will be very, very precise. Focusing on well-rounded education, this year's journey has been all about strengthening our core and fortifying the individuals with the Scindian ethos that plays an instrumental role in making us realize our inherent potential. As ever, the unending journey to find the right path and the right balance in the middle of mad rush and infinite choices continued this year too. We made every effort to integrate the fundamental principles of learning, which are simple, straight, relevant, and practical. As a testimony to our above efforts, I must inform you that we have gone a step further this year, and we were adjudged the 2nd best all-boys boarding school in India in the Education World Rankings. But I have more important thing to say. While we celebrate our ranking this year, I would like to share my heart with all of you. For schools such as ours, there is no need for any external validation. We must be reminded all the time that this institution has evolved through more than a century of achievements and tradition of innovation, which reflects in our alumni and is the true testimony of what we stand for. Our old boys, popularly called Scindians, are a microcosm of the same society that we live in. And they are spread all over the country and across the globe in search for knowledge, opportunities, and new challenges. Their contributions have made a difference everywhere, and they command socio-economic prominence wherever they live. And that is the real validation and award which this school has received time and again. Now you can compliment yourself. Well done. This year saw some path-breaking achievements and sizable feats of success. 15 students of the batch of class 12 got admissions in renowned colleges like University of Illinois, University of Wisconsin, De Anza College of Technology, and many more. Most of these admissions are on scholarships ranging between 25% to 100%. We can now also conduct admission tests to premium UK universities for our students in our school itself. The school brass band continues to bring laurels to the school by marching at the Rajpath on the Republic Day. Rakila Bhutia was awarded for his exceptional performance. We are proud of you, boys. God bless you. To provide impetus to the finer side of our being, yesterday or maybe today somebody was talking that if you were co-ed, will your kids be better? So for that, we tried a couple of initiatives this year. The school hosted the first ever Scindia Literary Fest, in which 8 internationally acclaimed paladins of art and literature visited the fort and enriched the students. Under the aegis of Speak Mackey, a play entitled Raj Rakt was performed by the Naya Theatre team. To connect with the present with the past and together creating a new future for ourselves, we undertook a very small journey to Kanpur and Banaras and organized 2 road shows in alliance with the SOVA chapters of Kanpur and Banaras. The school presented a cultural evening entitled An Evening with Scindians, Yesterday, Today and Tomorrow. It was also an endeavor of the school to raise awareness about the importance of boarding schools in the current scenario of education. The revival of house evenings proved to be a wonderful forum to the boys of each boarding house to showcase their talents on state. This year, we saw perceptibly enhanced thrust on academics, the revival of winter study camp for class 12 and the morning prep for all classes has been a great success. Other than the usual academic achievements in class 12, board examination, Jatin Rai, Jagjit Jain and Piyush Dinkar scored 100% marks in painting and Avijit Nagpal scored 100% in political science. Well done, my boys. Shubham Agrawal qualified for the finals of 3rd Nanni Chao All India Essay Writing Competition. Advait Jain of class 7, a small child, was ranked 6th in MP State Astronomy Quiz organized by an NGO called Aryabhat. This year, a record of 23 students were selected for SGFI National Games, which is a record for last 15 years in various games and categories, and won 16 medals in All India IPSC Games and other state championships. Jigme Gurung, I would like you to stand, Jigme, so that we can acknowledge you. Jigme Gurung broke the CBSE Athletics Cluster record in 3,000 meter race and played SGFI Nationals. Well done, Jigme, God bless you. Akshay, please stand up. Akshay Bhargav represented MP state team as vice captain in under 16 Vijay Merchant Trophy organized by VCCI. God bless Akshay. The horse riding team participated in a horse show and won 10 medals in Delhi. The school hockey team participated in United for Hockey tournament and won the runners up trophy. In the last 6 months that have gone by, 6 students have made it to the SGFI national selection to represent IPSC and MP state tournaments in nationals. I am not getting into details. Under the leadership of Mr. Dhiren Sharma and Ms. Raksha Syria, the spirit of adventure remained an overwhelming force in our lives, and please just concentrate on numbers. 11 students and 1 teacher attended the 12 days basic course in skiing at Gulmarg. 81 students of class 8 attended the educational training camp at National Adventure Institute, Panchmani. 11 students and 2 teachers trekked up to Everest Base Camp to the height of 18,000 feet. 20 students and 1 teacher attended the adventure course at Atal Bihari Vajpayee Institute of Mountaineering, Manali. 10 students attended 14 days adventure course at NIM Uttarkashi. 10 students attended 14 days adventure course at HMI Darjeeling. 7 students and 1 teacher attended the 7th Spiti Gold Residential Project at IYP and trekked to the Kandla Pass in Ladakh. But the many occasions on which we unleashed the spirit of adventure in Scindians. Can we have a prayer for this? Just one more data, with a very proud heart that 15 students from the batch of 16-17 received the Gold Award in IAYP award ceremony held at New Delhi. Urdesh Thakur was a proud recipient of Anirudh Sharma Memorial Award for Adventure. 12 students along with 6 teachers set out on a cycling expedition from Gwalior to Indore, covering 503 kilometers in 5 days, navigating the tough, dodgy roads. Service remained one of our strong pillars of our way of life. The Social Service League under Dr. Bhakuni's leadership continued with its activities all throughout the year. Sonsa Days, Shramjeevi Divas and the IPSC service project at Nathu Kapura were taken up with great enthusiasm. The school for the second time in a row organized the Regional Round Square Service project led by the project leader Mr. Vishesh Shahai at Tikse village in Ladakh. This time the project saw several international participants. The USA East Coast trip and the Paris educational tour were also organized under Round Square under the leadership of Mrs. Bakshi. The school team participated in the Jindal Art Festival called Abhivyakti at Vidya Devi Jindal School, Hisar. The following students received awards in the respective events. Cleopas Limbo, first in wood carving, Chitgan Prabhu, first in Hindi essay writing, Sunil Kumar and Aditya Rathore,
second in clay modeling, Rohan Jain second in card making, and Harshal Ashok second in sitar performance. In the 44th Platinum Jubilee debate, the school lifted the winning trophy. Well done, my boys. While Pawan Jaini went on an exchange to St. Philip's, Alice Springs, there were two boys who went to UK just to break some records. Anirudh Awasthi and Ishan Gangwani went to Ellesmere College, UK. Anirudh scored 149 runs not out, consisting of 26 boundaries and a 6, which was the highest scored by any exchange student. Ishan was adjudged as the best batsman. He scored highest number of runs, 370 in 7 matches, aggregating 53 runs per match. While these boys were achieving so much, teachers were also working out to match them. Mr. Gopal Chaturvedi attended a past teachers conference conducted by Goit Institute in Faridabad. Mr. Kamlesh Singh attended a 1-month-long faculty development program at IIM Indore. 7 teachers attended Microsoft in Education Global Training Partner Program at Gurgaon. Ms. Sudha Sharma and Ms. Sangeeta Jain attended a workshop on personal social health education. Under the aegis of IBSC, a seminar on the topic, The Self-Motivated Boy, Developing 21st Century Leadership, was held in New Delhi, in which Mr. Rajkumar Kapoor, Dean of ICT, and Mr. Somarajan KS, a young, energetic history teacher, represented the school. Ms. Anita Pandey attended the CBSE Masters Trainers Training on English course at Jabalpur and was complimented for her proficiency in the subject and professional planning approach. Under the aegis of Seagull Foundation for Arts, a 4-day conference was held on the topic of the idea of India. In Kolkata, Mr. Somarajan KS and Mr. Piyush Vaishnav represented the school in the same. Dr. Smita Trivedi attended CBSE's Master Trainers program at Jabalpur and was selected by CBSE for training teachers for English communication. Now I also take this opportunity to welcome the new members of the faculty who joined us this year. We wish them a long and fruitful stay in this school. The school also bid farewell to our dear colleague Mr. Anil Sharma, who worked for 3 decades, more than 3 decades, as the assistant librarian in this school. Mr. Anil Sharma, thank you very much for all your contribution. Nevertheless, in order to enhance these academic endeavors and related successes further, school has identified a competent person for the Vice Principal Academics position, which will be announced soon. And in our constant endeavor to ensure that every child entrusted to us not only shows an overall improvement, but also remains a happy child, the school has taken a very pragmatic step of creating a new position and identifying a person for the post of Head of Pastoral Care. It gives me immense pleasure to announce that the school has appointed Ms. Smita Chaturvedi for this position. Ms. Chaturvedi is currently heading Delhi Public School, Kashipur. Prior to joining the DPS, she taught English at Mayo College for Girls, Ajmer, and was also the house mistress. She has rich experience of 28 years and held assignments related to CBSE affiliation and inspection paperwork. She has deep knowledge in improving reading, writing, and oratory skills. She is also possesses the administrative experience of 16 years. Can we all welcome her to the Scindia family? Ms. Chaturvedi, we welcome you and we hope that you have a very, very fruitful and fulfilling tenure with us. All of us have seen that what all has happened on infrastructure, or what all is happening on the infrastructure front. Just a glimpse in future, a number of planned projects are aimed at upgrading the facilities and resources, renovation of Madhav House, relaying of all roads in the campus, setting up of air conditioning in the classrooms, upgradation of sports infrastructure at the gymnasium, basketball court, tennis court and squash court are also on the list. For the convenience of the faculty and the staff, a grocery store has been opened near the Teli temple. A school like ours thrive on the synergy and close bond between the old boys and the institution. We were delighted to welcome different batches of old boys and reconnect with them. The alumni come from different parts of the world to show their love and gratitude for this institution, which has shaped their lives in many ways. The batch of 1967, class of 22, Ruby Jubilee reunion of class of 1976, Ranoji House reunion and the Madhav House reunion were the occasions which linked the past and present and ensured the perennial flow of values from one generation of Scindians to all. At this point of time, we also mourn for the sad demise for some members of the Scindian family. Mrs. Santosh Kapoor, wife of Mr. G.K. Kapoor, a former teacher in the Scindia School. Mr. Lal Sahib Surve, ex-Ranojian, 1946. Mr. Ajit Singh Kelor, ex-Madhav, 1962. Mr. Prakash Sharma, 1972. Mr. Atul Bhargav, Mahaji, 1982. Mr. Vinod Malhotra, ex-Mahaji, 1965. Mr. Shubham Agarwal, ex-Shivaji, 2013. Mr. Madhusudan Rao, ex-Jivaji, 1990. Mr. Rajendra Singh Sehgal, ex-Mahaji, 1967. Mr. Rakesh Roshan, ex-Daulat, 2011. Mrs. Somangshu Ghosh, ex-Danonian, 1982. Dr. Shrikant Davade, ex-Shivaji, 1951. Mr. G.P. Upadhyay, former librarian. Air Commodore Shekhar Chauhan, ex-Siddharth and Vivekanand, 1982. Mr. Yash Kumar Singh Kasliwal, ex-Danonian, 1964. Mr. Dev Khurana, ex-Jai Panay. Mr. Anand Buchasia, Vivekanand, 1981. And Mr. Rahul Bhargav, ex-Ranunian, 1994. We pray to God to give strength to the bereaved family and friends to bear the loss. May their souls rest in peace. May I request all of you to stand and observe silence just for a minute for the respect of these departed souls. Thank you very much. Please be seated. This brings me to the end of my report, but before I close, I should like to express my deep gratitude to the President and members of the Board of Governors for their support and guidance. I am also thankful to my colleagues from teaching and administrative services wings. I sincerely appreciate the help that I have received from the Band of Bright youngsters, my senior school prefect, Snehil Tripathi, and his team of school prefects. I am also grateful to the government and civil administration, Army and Air Force authorities for their timely help whenever we have turned to them in our moment of need. I would like to make a special mention of District Education Department and the doctors in the city for their continued support to the school. And at the end, but not the least, parents and all the alumni, especially the SOVA authorities, for supporting, understanding me, and giving your valuable inputs all the time. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Our chief guest tonight, the co-founder and CEO of Snapdeal, Mr. Kunal Bhel, members of the board, Principal Scindia School, Dr. Madhav Saraswat, parents, alumni, especially the class of 1992 and 2007 present in great strength here this evening, faculty, students, and members of our community from our city of Gwalior present this evening. Martin Luther King once said, and I quote, "Intelligence plus character, that is the true goal of education," unquote. And therefore, education isn't just to get you into college or a high-paying job. But education, the purpose of education is to be able to inculcate in you the ability to critically think, analyze, and solve. It is to imbibe in you the ability to learn how to learn. And therefore, an example of that, a subject that not all of us are passionate about, but certainly our chief guest is, mathematics and the algebraic equation. And the story about the algebraic equation is that it's not about instant gratification, but a systematic way of breaking down bigger problems and toiling to get to the solution. Einstein said, and I quote, "Education is what remains after one has forgotten what one has learnt at school," unquote. And therefore, knowledge is just not from your textbooks or your pedagogy or your curriculum in your classrooms. The impartation of knowledge is from the experiential environment around you. It's from those that impact you. Peers, friends, colleagues, faculty, mentors that purposely and purposefully impact your lives in the days to come. I remember my school days, assemblies, school halls filled with young kids, young men. Young men who were not identified by whether we were from Tamil Nadu or from Gujarat or from Gwalior. Young men whose identity was not based on whether you were a Hindu or a Muslim or a Sikh. Young men whose identity was not based on whether you spoke Tamil or Marathi or Punjabi. All our identities were merged under the shared umbrella of our common Indian ethos and origin. And here in Gwalior we have a wonderful example of that. Just below the fort, Fulbagh, where we have a temple, a mosque, a gurdwara and a theosophical lodge. A constant reminder to all of us that India is a land characterized by her diversity. My great-grandfather, Madharao Scindia I, built that environment so that on a daily basis there was an intermingling of people of not various faiths, but people with a common soul. The thought always was that you should be recognized not by your name or by your faith, but by your character and your intent. And therefore the refrain in India, Anekta mein ekta, Vasudeva Kutumbak, the fact that today we are all bound by a shared destiny, that of the plurality of our diversity. Our diversity in thought, a diversity in action, a diversity in terms of our expression. But that makes me worry. It makes me worry for the children of today. How can we make them believe in these ideals when the reality that surrounds us is starkly different? How can we make them believe in tolerance when there is an atmosphere of intolerance around us? How can we make them believe in ahimsa when what we see around us is cold-blooded murder and lynchings? And therefore, if we continue to accept this violent imposition of a homogenized system of being, thinking, and behaving, then our youth will not grow with the ideals of our founding fathers, but with the pettiness and the divisiveness wrought by this day's emboldened bigots. The India that we all cherish is an India that is free in mind, speech, and expression. An India in which equality is an indispensable reality. That is our nation, our Bharat, our India, a nation of peace, a nation of tolerance. Gandhiji once said, and I quote, that if you want to cultivate a true spirit of democracy, we cannot afford to be intolerant. Intolerance betrays want of faith in one's cause, unquote. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, we must understand our past to be able to build an iconic future. India's foundation is at risk, and it is up to the youth of today to reclaim the ideals of our forefathers. A lot of hurdles will need to be crossed, and those qualities are which we try and inculcate in all of you at the Scindia School. A healthy sense of respect, responsibility, and reciprocity to deal with the world around you. And that in itself is a testimony to the foresight of our founder, Maharaja Madhavrao Scindia I, when he instilled the values of tolerance and open-mindedness, steering us since 1897. His vision was to educate and develop the faculties of our wards, nurture good citizens, steeped in a very, very sound value system and equipped with an inquisitive yet enterprising city. A spirit that was enterprising, which is encapsulated in what Kofi Annan once said, and I quote, "Knowledge is power, information is liberating," unquote. And therefore, one of the greatest role models in front of us today that exemplify all of these ideals, the ideals of hard work, perseverance, dedication. For these are the values that stand with us at every juncture in life. A man who at the age of 23 decided to blaze a new path, decided that he was going to be an entrepreneur, come what may. One who fought his way through many, many obstacles while staying true to his ambition. A man who understands that success does not come easy. He has managed to bring the marketplace to our doorstep, revolutionizing the nation's realm of online shopping. Barely in his mid-30s, with both Wharton and Northwestern degrees under his belt, he is today an inspiration for our youth. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Kunal Bahl, CEO and founder of Snapdeal. His decision to become an entrepreneur came about in December 2008. And when was it? It was during his brother's wedding, after the ghodi was sent away, that Kunal turned to his friend and said, and I quote, "Let's start a business." His friend Rohit Bansal was naturally surprised, and he said, "Give me a couple of days to think about it." And Kunal turned around to him in his normal demeanor and said, "Let's meet tomorrow over breakfast and discuss it. Why lose time?" And that started a path that they both walked upon, moving from a discount coupon book for restaurants onto a mobile discount service, a discount card service that eventually transformed itself into Snapdeal. He has realized through his toil and hard work that entrepreneurship is a very, very hard path, and that starting a business is not child's play. Snapdeal today has gone from being an online discount service provider to an online marketplace. And today the company boasts of 10,000 employees and a valuation of $6.5 billion. But despite this roaring success, he has had his share of trials and tribulations. In July, they sold FreeCharge, the Snapdeal-owned mobile wallet service, to Axis Bank, and even discussed a possible Snapdeal-Flipkart merger. But Kunal, true to his entrepreneurial spirit, turned down the idea, said he will reform Snapdeal and come out with Snapdeal 2.0 that will satisfy all his customers as well as his investors. He believes in taking his company to a flourishing new change pattern. And Steve Jobs, I guess, describes him the best when he says that I'm convinced about half of what separates the successful entrepreneurs from the non-successful ones is pure perseverance, unquote. Today, Snapdeal is recognized the world over. It's the Fortune 40 under 40. They have won the Economic Times Entrepreneur of the Year Award, the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year Award, and Kunal continues to grow within his industry. He's managed to hold his ground against international giants like Amazon. And now he's taking his project forward onto a new growth curve. He's dreamt of becoming an entrepreneur, and what a spectacular job he has done in a short period of time. So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we celebrate not just the potency of his invention, not just the appetite of risk, but also the sweep of his ambition and the values that he stands for: dedication, perseverance, and hard work, all of which what we at the Scindia School inculcate in our students, developing the capability to compete on a global scale, never losing sight of our goal. All your life, my young friends, you've been taught to do well. But now, with this example, you must also remember to do good. Kunal has stepped in to find a solution to one digital marketplace problem. But there are still many problems left in our country today for all of you to solve. He said, and I quote, "Starting a company is like taking a girl out. If you overthink it, you'll never do it," unquote. So just as Kunal has, I wish all of you the best in charting your own course, independently and fiercely. As Gandhiji once said, and I quote, "In a gentle way, you can shake the world," unquote. Thank you very much.
In the middle, I was wondering, are you still talking about me? I want to thank again Mr. Scindia, Dr. Saraswat, the faculty, the students, the Board of Governors for having me join this great forum. It's a true privilege for me, and thank you very much. I learned that last year, Mr. Tata had come to give this lecture. I've been very fortunate. Mr. Tata was one of our earliest investors. He's someone I've learned so much from. He's truly one of the greatest Indians ever. And these are obviously very, very big shoes for me to fill. You know, as I read up on the Scindia School, it seems like the vision of this school has always been very far-sighted. Starting with the founder, the late Maharaja Madhura Scindia Ji I, when he was very clear that the school was meant to create leaders and visionaries for an independent India eventually. And that is quite visible as I spend time with the students today. There's a great deal of ownership, passion, energy that exists in each one of the students out here. I also learned that this school, in its quest for being ahead of the curve, was one of the first schools in the country to institute an information technology program back in 1980. Surprisingly, Infosys, the IT services bellwether, started in 1981. So you can imagine the kind of foresight this school has had. But very importantly, I actually want to mention one very important thing, which I've identified about the ethos of this school. And this has to do with an anecdote pertaining to Mr. Scindia himself. Back in 2008 or 9, around 2008, before the 2009 general elections, I was this young kid. I'd just started this struggling startup. This was not a Kunal Bahl who would be invited to one of the most prestigious founders' days of the country. And I sent him an email saying, Mr. Scindia, I think the social media thing is a really interesting thing. It may have a great impact on the future of how political campaigns are run. I'd like to come and talk to you about it. Because I was always a geek, so I was always looking into new technologies, and back then social media was considered a technology, not something as pervasive as it is today. I remember I got a response within 45 minutes, and this is a complete cold call email for the most part. And he met me, he spent time with me, he gave me feedback, and asked me to come back, and I went back again, and we had a great discussion about this. What it taught me was that humility is such an integral part of the culture of this whole school and of everyone associated with it, which is such an integral component of dealing with success and dealing with failure through life. The students of this school have an incredible opportunity. They should be truly proud of themselves. I've traveled far and wide. I often go to schools to meet students. I would rate the Scindia School right up there in every possible way. As I was thinking about what should I talk about today, I could talk about how to build an e-commerce company. I could talk about 10 things to think about before you start a company. But I realized that one of the most important lessons I have learned is about how do you deal with adversity and failure. Because don't believe the headlines. For every successful story, there are dozens and dozens of interspersed moments of failure. And it's very important for every person to remember that. Because to those who have been successful, it lends them humility. And for those who seek success, it lends them hope. The first thing I always think about is, especially in our society, and this is for the students, it is very, very important to never be concerned about, never be scared about what other people will say about whatever you want to do. Especially being scared about the fact that what will they say if you were to fail? Because then you would never start anything. It is not easy to start because there is always this fear that people will judge you. But here's the good news. People will judge you anyways. And so it is important that if it's in your heart that you want to do something, you want to start something, just go do it. Don't wait. I remember when we started almost 10 years ago now, we rented a small 200 square feet office which is in the basement of a rundown abandoned house in the furniture market of Delhi. We were paying 7,000 rupees rent a month. It was quite an expensive office for us. And we were slumming the streets in 45 degrees weather, Celsius weather in Delhi. We were going from one client office to the next. people won't care what degrees we had. They cared about what we had to offer. They would keep us waiting for hours outside their offices, but it never broke us, never reduced our spirit. Because at the end of the day, this was our passion. This was our pursuit. This was our journey. And there were many people around us at that point who said, guys, you have this Ivy League education, you went to the IITs, what the hell are you doing with your life? Go take your jobs at Goldman Sachs or McKinsey or one of those hallowed institutions. What are you doing? But we always felt this was our dream. And we needed to protect this dream. We needed to nourish this dream. We needed to make this dream come true. And every passing day that went, we never felt the pressure that what if we failed, what would people say? Because if for a second we felt that, our entire resolve would melt away. Secondly, success is actually never permanent. It's never final. And failure is rarely fatal. It rarely kills you. What makes a difference is whether you have the courage to continue. There are enough moments in our journey where we have come to the absolute brink of no longer existing the following day. And it's also happened in my personal life. As students, I remember when I was in class 11th, I was asked to pursue IIT education. I'm sure many students here are doing that. And I spent 2.5 years of my life just doing that. No play, no video games, no movies, no girls, nothing. Only studies. And I didn't get in. After all that effort, I still didn't get in. And everyone around me was quick to call me a failure. But it didn't bother me. I kept my head down, studied, got into a good university, and it worked out. We started our company in 2007, 2008. Within 2 years, we ran out of money. All our savings were gone. We had only 20,000 rupees left in our bank accounts. If an investor told us, come to pitch to us to Bangalore, we said, let's just do a Skype. But we pulled out of that, even though we knew that there was not much hope. In 2013, a few years later, we had already raised a lot of money, a lot of investors had come in, but somehow the company was not going on track, and we were in trouble again. The market had changed on us, and we hadn't changed the business as fast as we should have. And we again had 1 month of money left. But we kept going, we just kept going, and someone extended us a loan, and that kept the company afloat. Within a year or two, we had raised another $1 billion from a company that had only 5,000 rupees left in the bank account. At each juncture, it would have been very easy to lose our resolve, lose our patience, lose all joy of coming to work every day and dealing with a tough situation. But I think that's where having a great partner, and I have the best partner anyone can have in Rohit, helps. In the end, I've realized that if you want to do something big, something great, it is absolutely critical to know that it is going to be tough. And it is going to take an enormous amount of energy. And there will be times where things will be on the down and low. But as long as you work in a spirited manner with passion and self-belief that you will pull out of this, I can tell you with guarantee, you will pull out of this. Finally,
dealing with failure or dealing with a low point, dealing with adversity is extremely hard, extremely tough. But I've learned there is one great way of dealing with it emotionally, and that is to remember that there is always something in your life that you still love, and that all is never lost. And harnessing that positivity, if you know what you love, you already have. You will not want anything else. For the great students here, love your friends. Know who's the true friend who will recognize your tear rather than only your smiles. You just need one true friend. Love the knowledge you're getting. It will stick with you forever. Your faculty, your family is giving their lives, imparting their knowledge to you. You must cherish it forever. It will last you a lifetime, even if everything else goes away. Love your health. It is very, very critical to stay healthy, because if you are healthy, you'll be able to achieve everything you set out to do. And most importantly, love your country. We have the greatest nation on the planet, absolutely the greatest. Like many of you, I've traveled around the world to dozens of countries. And I've seen that the culture we have, the people we have, the society we have, the opportunity we have, the food we have is absolutely unmatched. It is unmatched anywhere in the world. Most importantly, going forward, the opportunity we have, all of us have, especially the young students here have, is unmatched. We must love that about our lives. We must love that we have been brought up in a free country which has all this to offer to us. Suddenly, the short-term pain starts looking short-term. Always remember, there is always a lot of positivity in our lives. That in the light of the deepest, darkest adversity, there is always something really good. And it's very important to latch on to it. Finally, this school, today I was in the exhibitions, and I have to say, I have never been this impressed at a school and all its activities and the talent and the hard work that the students and the faculty put in. The metal work, the work being done with wood, the work being done with vegetable colors, the work being done using robotics, 3D printing, you name it, this school has it all, and I've never seen it before. It is absolutely incredible what this school has to offer. But with that, for each of the students here, especially those who are clapping, make sure there is a sense of, you know that there is a sense of responsibility that comes with it. A deep sense of responsibility. You are the 550 students in this country who have this opportunity and these facilities available to you. World-class facilities. It is incumbent on you to make the most of it and become the leaders and the visionaries of this country for which the school was first set up. You know, in our journey throughout the last 8-10 years, there have been many ups and downs, but we never gave up. We came very close to giving up sometimes, but we never gave up, and we will never give up. But there will be challenges. But those challenges create opportunities. Opportunities to innovate, opportunities to outperform expectations, and opportunities to succeed. I can tell you, from what I saw earlier today, in this auditorium today, there is a Steve Jobs, there is an Elon Musk, there is a Mark Zuckerberg. And look left, look right, or look at yourself. It could be you. I'm so glad I was given this opportunity. I want to thank the entire ecosystem of the Scindia School for inviting me and for all the kind words and the generous words that were said. I really wish all the students and faculty stay focused, stay humble, stay blessed. I wish to be back, but I know I will always, throughout my life, cherish this opportunity. My greatest love to all of you. Jai Hind. Thank you.
We now request the President Board of Governors, His Highness Maharaja Jyotiraditya Scindia, to read out the citation for the Madhav Award and confer the award on Mr. Hitendra Ghosh, an eminent old boy of the school.
The Scindia School aspires to afford the best references and stimulants for the receptive heart and mind of each student, so that the inherent splendor of each Scindian can gently waft on its own throughout his life. Today we honor one such maestro of the Indian cinema, a man of immense creativity and talent, the nationally acclaimed sound designer and recordist, Mr. Hitendra Ghosh. Hitendra Ghosh graduated from the Scindia School, Ravindra House in 1967. In the commendation letter given by the then principal, Mr. J.L. Dar, it is mentioned that music was his hobby and that he was a member of the school choir and orchestra. Besides music, he was keenly interested in sports and was also a cadet in the junior division of the NCC Air Wing Troop. After school, he completed a diploma in cinema from the Film and Television Institute of India, Pune, in 1974. He chose creative sound designing and recording for cinema as his profession, where he built a stellar reputation for himself over a career spanning 40 years. His larger-than-life contribution in the above field can be gauged by the fact that he holds the unique distinction of sound editing 3,500 films, the highest by any individual in the world. He earned the National Film Award for Best Audiography on 3 occasions, in 1979 for Junoon, in 1986 for Ek Pal, and in 2013 for Game. He has also received various other prestigious awards like the Filmfare Award, IFA Award and the Zee Cine Award. Some of the well-known films for which he has won accolades are Kalyug, Vijeta, Jungle, Rang De Basanti, Swadesh, Jodha Akbar, and the list goes on and on and on. Dedicated, humble, and exceptionally good at his work, Hitendra Ghosh is a living legend of his field. His remarkable erudition for the subtle grammar of sounds in cinema, in conjunction with the visuals, led him to contribute to the vocabulary of sound design and also to explore other creative aspects in the same field. In the contemporary milieu of commercial cinema, which clamors for loud music, Hitendra never ceased to be refined, artistic, and so awe-inspiringly effective. The Scindia School confers on Mr. Hitendra Ghosh the Madhav Award as an old boy of eminence for the year 2017 for his unwavering commitment, outstanding achievements, and enormous contribution in the field of sound and recording to the Indian cinema.
We request the Madhav awardee, Mr. Hitendra Ghosh, to address the gathering.
Thank you so much. I'd like to thank His Highness and also the members of the Board of Governors for giving me this prestigious award. I'm not a speaker, so I'll just talk. I'm very excited to come here after nearly 45 years, and I was born here. My parents were teachers in junior school. My father was looking after the art side, and mother was a music teacher, and then later on she became a headmistress. We used to live in a small bungalow near Sasbahu temple, and I have an elder sister. She passed and she got married, and also I have an elder brother. He has taken after my father talent. He is now a known textile designer. Now there are lots of memories which are there, and I'll be using the next 2 days, roam around and just remember my old days. I would like to tell the students one thing. See, besides studies, there are so many extracurricular activities which you can pay attention to, because they are very useful in your life later on. I have experience. I used to attend riding classes regularly, but I was not a good rider. And I used to attend them regularly. We were shooting a film called Junoon, and Shashi Kapoor had to give some riding shots. But the day of shoot, he was not well. So our director, Shyam Benegal, he knew that I am from Scindia. He didn't tell me, he just told me, you put on Shashi's clothes and give me these shots. I was taken aback, but I did try, and those shots are still there in the film, and it was quite. Then these training which I had in school has helped me many times. I remember we were in Madhya Pradesh in a village, and they were doing some clay pottery. So I also tried, and I made a big long jar. They were saying, "Where did you learn this?" I said, "Scindia School." Again. So thank you again. This is a great award for me, and it means a lot to me because it has come from my own people, and I feel that my parents have given me this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We now have the ceremony of symbolic handing over of traditions and values of the school by the Madhav awardee to a young Sindhi. We therefore request Mr. Hitendra Ghosh to kindly remain on the stage to hand over the lamp with the replica of the school flag to Prakhar Agarwal. With reverence and pride, I hand over the school flag and the lamp as a symbol of the cherished values and traditions of the school to you. Protect them and nurture them as your most sacred duty. Let the flag fly high forever and the lamp be carried in the heart of every Sindhian to bring a touch of light where there is darkness and a warmth where there is suffering. I trust that you will never fail in your duty. Thank you, sir. On Behel to give away the annual awards which are given to students and houses for excellence in different verticals of the school. We request our principal, Dr. Madhav Deo Saraswat, to announce the awards.
Best in academics in class 11 for 16-17 goes to Suryansh Goyal of Daulat House. The Mahendra Mishra Memorial Trophy for the best sportsman in class 11 for 16-17 goes to Rikila Bhutia of Daulat House. The Maharaja Madhavrao Scindia second medal for all-round proficiency in class 11 for 16-17 goes to Suryansh Goyal of Daulat House. The Sam Pitroda Award for the Best Innovative Project, Automatic Barrier System for Gwalior Fort for 17-18 goes to Pranav Vadva of Daulat House, Shashi Karan Gongutta of Joyappa House. The R.V. Pawar Medal for scoring the highest percentage of marks in mathematics in class 12 board examination 2016-17 goes to Sambhav Mittal of Jayappa House. The Governor's Medal for scoring the highest percentage of marks in class 12 board examination 2016-17 goes to Har Simar Singh of Ranoji House. The Field Marshal Karyappa Shield for the Best Sportsman for 2016-17 goes to Mahendra Chetri of Mahaji House. The Maharaja Jivaji Rao Scindia Medal for all-round proficiency in class 12 for 2016-17 goes to Arvind Das Darji of Jayappa House. The Khurshid Lakadwala Junior House Efficiency Shield for 2016-17 goes to Kaner Khed House. the big one, the Guru Har Gobind Singh Gurdwara Trophy for the best house in academics for the year 2016-17 goes to Mahaji House. The Nepal Trophy for the best house in games and sports for 2016-17 goes to Jayappa House. Jayappa House boys. The Journal Efficiency Shield for 2016-17 goes to Daulat House. Now I would announce the milestone awards on completion of 20 years of continuous service to the Scindia School. I would request His Highness Jyotiraditya Scindia and the Chief Guest to honor Mr. R.K. Kapoor, Mr. Dhirendra Sharma, Mrs. Raksha Siria, Mr. Raja Banerjee, Mr. Ramesh Sharma, and Mr. Jitendra Javle. 120 years together. I would also request Mr. Akash Sharma to come here on completion of 10 years.
We have another special award this year, the King Constantine Medal, which is awarded annually at each global Round Square school to an individual for adhering to the ideals of Round Square. In recognition of the enormous contribution made to the cause of community service and for being a true role model in living the ideals of Round Square, the Scindia School proudly confers the award on Dr. B.S. Bakuni. We request the Chief Guest to confer the award on Dr. Bakuni.
Honorable Chief Guest of the evening, Mr. Kunal Bahl, President, Board of Governors, Your Highness Maharaja Jyotiraditya Scindia, members of the Board of Governors, eminent guests, old boys, parents, teachers, and fellow Scindians, A very warm evening to one and all. It is my proud privilege to propose a vote of thanks in the presence of the youth icon, Mr. Kunal Bahl, who runs India's largest online marketplace, Snapdeal.com, a venture which is within striking distance of $1 billion in annual sales. Ladies and gentlemen, hold your breath, as our chief guest for tonight is not just your average corporate honcho. The Snapdeal network has about 50,000 merchants selling over 5 million products on its site, adding a product every 20 seconds. To quote Mr. Bahl himself, he wishes to create life-changing experiences for thousands of small businesses and millions of consumers in India, using technology as a great socio-economic equalizer. And, may I add, he has achieved all that he set out to and more. Sir, thank you for taking out time to be with us today. I also take this opportunity to thank the Madhav Awardee, Mr. Hitendra Ghosh. We're truly inspired by your professional accomplishments, sir. Your success story is a testimony to the fact that when talent and passion are backed by hard work, magic happens. I express my wholehearted gratitude to the President and other members of the Board of Governors for their dedicated support and guidance, and for enhancing this entire journey of education in the most holistic ways and means conceivable. I thank our old boys, especially the batches of 1992 and 2007 who have come from far and near. You are the reason because of which we've learned to value our tradition and grasp what 120 years of history means in action. My thanks are due to all the teachers for equipping us with the power and knowledge, and for working for us and on us so that each Scindian is not just academically but also morally and spiritually robust. I would like to thank all the parents who could come to witness this Founders Day celebration and have graced the occasion with their presence. I would also like to thank my parents and my batch, those who have been with me throughout this journey. Thank you for the most amazing memories and for the friendships I can make with each one of you. You are the reason because of which I'm able to stand here today. I congratulate the entire student body of the Scindia School who strived day in and day out over the past month to make this evening the great success that it has proven to be. Standing here in this picturesque setting amidst an August gathering is indeed a surreal moment. But let me make a confession. Tonight is the night that I've been waiting for since the last 7 years. Yes, Founders Day, the Senior School Prefect's address. It is a day that has taken a lifetime to reach, and yet it feels like it was only yesterday that I was trying my oversized blazer and preparing for my first Founders Day here at Scindia. Over these swift years, the school has taught me a lot. Be it life lessons, or that an atom is the smallest constituent unit of ordinary matter that determines all its chemical properties. Yet, the most important thing that I've learned here as a student is how to adapt to change. And that change itself is both inevitable and beneficial. I would like to share with you one of my favorite quotes, and I quote, "You're born weak and you die weak, but what you are in between is up to you." I unquote. The Scindia School ensures that these intervening years remain eventful and meaningful. The school packs our days with warm memories which are sure to last a lifetime. That's why, for as long as you get to be on this timeless fort, strive to perpetuate the love and the affection and the spirit of being a humble learner. And then the journey of Scindia School will change your lives forever. In the end, I would like to thank you all once again for being a part of this delightful evening and for making this evening more momentous and memorable. Thank you, good night, long live Scindia.